My name is Mark Walters of BigFanboy.com, and it's an honor to have the first question for this. Harrison, I did want to ask you, there's the obvious question of this is kind of a big return to sci-fi for you, doing a movie out in space. It's been a long time since we've seen you do that. And it does sort of seem like this character could be maybe like an older, seasoned version of Han Solo, like a guy that's now been put in charge of a younger generation of the next badasses in space. What was it about this particular role that made you say, okay, it's time for me to go back up in the stars?
Well, get back to your reference to the Han and Graf being alike. I would think nothing alike. Graf's a very complex character that is charged with an awesome responsibility, who recruits and trains young Ender Wiggin, and really in this construction of the story faces a lot of the moral issues that are involved in the using young people for warfare, and the complex moral issues really are part of the Graf's story. Ender doesn't really face so much the issues of morality until the end of the film, when he knows what's happened to him. But Graf is aware of his moral responsibilities all through his part of the story. I think the book deals with a lot of very complex issues of social responsibility and the moral issues that one faces when one is part of a military establishment. I was just delighted to be involved in a film with such high ambition and such talented people. I think Graf is a much more complex character than Han Solo, which doesn't mean that I regret Han Solo. Yeah. So, thank you.
Hi. Question for Asa and Haley. These are characters I've admired since I've read the book. What did you love about them, and how cool is it to play these characters?
I read the book. I'm a huge fan of science fiction, so I had a great time reading it. And Ender's character, yes, the film is a science fiction epic, but to me there's a lot more to it than that in the novel. And Ender's character, one of the reasons it was so intriguing to me is because of the complexity of it. And me and Gavin talked a lot prior to shooting about where we wanted to take it, and we talked a lot about Ender's character and the constant internal struggle that he's facing throughout the film, and his development is apparent, and it was really intriguing for me, and we had a good time experimenting with it.
Something that I loved about the project as a whole was the fact that it had such a huge fan base. For me, sort of creating a backstory for Petra was also interesting because you're introduced to her a little further into the story. But one of the most exciting things is sort of experiencing the excitement that everybody around us has. It's been such a great experience, and we're so excited to share it with you guys.
Hey, I'm Lin Zuo from Taiwan. I just wonder if you guys get a chance to check out the fan experience set up exclusively, for this event. And can you just kind of walk us through different rooms and how is it, resemble the movie?
I'll take it because it was fantastic to work with an incredible production design department on building those sets, and really, really thrilled and grateful to our studio for actually bringing this, saving some of the sets and bringing it to show you guys. I think it's important, you think of these kind of movies as just big CG events, and they're really not. Wherever possible, and certainly on this movie, wherever we could, we built sets that the actors could move in and be in a space that felt as real as possible, because you do need a lot of visual effects in a movie like this. But wherever possible, to have tangible, traditional, beautifully built sets, it really helps the actors feel that they're in a real environment. So I'm just very thrilled with the level of design work that Ben Proctor and Sean Harwood, the designers, and Peter Lando, the set decorators and so on, brought to this. They did a great job. And you can see, if you go into the Ender's experience, you can see the kind of detail, even in the bunk beds, the cupboards, look at those helmets. Hours were spent on figuring out how that glass in the helmet would reflect lights, because you have to embrace the reflected light. How would they create patterns? And then how would the lighting department create lights that would look good reflected in those helmets? So a lot of work by the folks behind the scenes who, it's nice to be able to give a shout out to them. They did great work.
Hi, Gavin. Lovely to see you again. I was wondering, you received a nod from the Academy Award for a very intimate movie, but you've also done huge epic sci-fi thrillers. Could you talk about what appealed about this movie in particular, and which genre do you like to head toward?
Wow, that's a deep question, Margaret. Interestingly, I suppose a lot of times artists sort of fixate on certain themes, and a lot of people have said, well, you made Tsotsi, which I think is the film you're referring to, is a very small $3 million movie, and then here comes Ender's Game. I don't want to belittle the themes that I'm focused on, but they're very similar. I mean, you have in both cases protagonists who are troubled kids struggling for an identity in a morally complex universe, the way Harrison described it. I mean, these are fabulously morally complex characters. This is not a story about good versus evil in the simplistic way where, the character is wronged and has to right the wrong through revenge. And this is a case where the character is at war with his own nature. And that was the case in Tsotsi, and it happens to be the case in Ender Wiggin. It's just that this time we get to play with a lot more cool toys, make some really cool big visual effects. But at its heart, I think why I love this story is it's still a character-driven piece. And what you get here with a film like this, and the fun for me as a director, is I get to have the best of two worlds. I get to play with big visuals, huge, wonderful visual effects, big, epic-looking stuff, but also still have this wonderful character-driven story that requires great performances and complex, nuanced performances. So there you go. Sure.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jace Peoples from Here Media. This question is for Harrison and anyone else on the panel that would like to answer. The anti-gay views of Orson Scott Card have been getting a lot of attention.
We're not hearing you. Could you bring?
Yeah, I'm sorry. The anti-gay views of Orson Scott Card have been getting a lot of attention since the promotion of this film began. Were you aware of Card's work with anti-gay organizations before you began working on this film? And does it at all change how you feel about working on Ender's Game?
You said the question is for me?
Yes.
I'm so grateful. Thank you. I think none of Mr. Card's concerns regarding the issue of gay marriage are part of the thematics of this film. And he has written something, I think, that is of value to us all to consider moral responsibilities. I think his views outside of those that we deal with in this film are not an issue for me to deal with. So I have really no opinion on that issue. I am aware of his statements admitting that the question of gay marriage is a battle that he lost. And he admits that he lost it. I think we all know that we've all won that humanity has won.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's the end of the story.
Hi, this question's for Bob and Gavin. When making this film, how far ahead are you looking for home entertainment releases, bonus features, commentaries? Are you thinking about these things while you're making the film itself?
I think producers have to think about these. I was just so buried in the film, I was hoping to survive this one, not think about the next one. But Bob, go ahead.
Comic-Con is about sharing sort of the behind the scenes and the experience of how we come to this stuff. So we're very conscious of trying to get as much material just to show how much fun we're having, and sometimes when we're not having so much fun, just to kind of catalog what's happening. I think it's a value. In a way, I wish there had been more of this kind of stuff when I was growing up. The idea that you can, in a way, put yourself through film school merely by checking out the bonus features of a DVD is fantastic. And now we all have cameras. I'm sure. Have we gotten all your? We're very conscious from the beginning, and hopefully it'll be something fun to check out.
Hello, everyone. My name is Connie Allen. I'm with Blast Magazine. As you mentioned, this is a very ambitious project with very complex characters. In what ways did you research and process your work in order to identify with the characters you played on screen? And what part of them did you take with you while you were working on this project?
For me, having a novel to refer to is always helpful. I've been in a few films that have been adapted, and as an actor, the amount of resources and things you can gain just from reading the story as well as the script are so massive that it's something which is you just can't put down.
Are we all answering this?
Mm-hmm.
I would say, again, having a novel to go to is so helpful. It's an extra 200 and something pages of just, ideas and clues and just so many things you can pick up on, whether it's written about your character or the other characters. There's so much there and so much to play with. And for me, this was actually sort of my first film that I had to do a lot of physical training, which was a lot of fun for us. We went to space camp. We learned how to march. We learned how to salute, and we learned different cadences. It was just, from day one, such a great experience.
Harrison, right here. You've had such a great success doing sci-fi, the action genre, and so. But a lot of times, these movies, the benefit of them is they allow us to talk about social and moral issues that if you just did a straight drama, we kind of wouldn't accept as an audience. So I was wondering if you could just kind of take a step back and look at Ender's Game. What do you think we're discussing? What kind of conversations can we have from this movie? Although, obvious being a piece of entertainment.
This movie, I think, was very prescient, and the novel was very prescient in recognizing something that we now have as a reality in our lives, which is the ability to wage war at a distance, and to do the business of war somewhat emotionally disconnected from it. And so the morality of a military commander and the military command structure, the morality of a society which raises a military and wages war, are the moral concerns of this film, and they are something which we are wrestling with daily in our lives. The issue of interplanetary warfare is the science fiction aspect of it, but what gives it such emotional tone and reality is that these are the concerns our everyday lives now. Drone warfare and the capacity that we have technologically is one part of the moral package. The other is the use of young people in the business of war, which has always historically been the case. The youngest the youngest and fittest of our cultures have always been the ones who were first in line for warfare. And the question of using even younger people, in the book, Ender Wiggin starts out at 7 years of age.
6 or 7, yeah.
In this case, I think wisely, that has been changed to be a young person, closer matching Ace's age, 12, 13, 13, was a wise choice. But the character that I play is responsible for manipulating young people in service of some perceived need of humanity as a whole. And no matter how you try and wrestle with the questions of warfare and the military, the more you realize how complex these issues are and how much attention they deserve. So I think it's really important for us to visit these questions, not only in the daily news and then dismiss them, but in our emotional and civic lives.
Okay, we only have time for like 1 or 2 more questions. I know back here we have one.
Good afternoon, Mr. Ford. I was just wondering if you could talk about your experience as an actor working on this film with Sir Ben Kingsley.
It was great. Despite his moniker, the sirness of him, there's a real guy there, a yeoman actor and very matey kind of guy, who I vastly enjoyed getting to know. I had not known him before. The pleasure of working with him as an actor was a real treat. As was, by the way, the pleasure of working with these young people who are enormously talented, dedicated, and devoted themselves to the telling of this story, and who also possess surprising craft, understanding, and skill. Surprising to me for their ages, forgive me for saying, but enormously talented young people. I give credit to them, and I give credit to Gavin, because casting is so important in these things, and it was a delight to be involved.
Hi, my name is Bridget Lasker from futurepreviews.com, and my question is, for all 3 of you, what was your favorite trait about your characters, and are there any major moments in the film that you would have personally done different than your character?
What was that last part? Are there any?
I said, are there any major moments in the film that you personally would have done differently than your characters?
For me, one of the things that I really enjoy playing with Ender is how he's constantly struggling between his brother and his sister, and he's almost like he's got two sides to him, and I've always wanted to play a darker character, and in this film and in the novel, Ender has his moments where he isn't a glorified hero. As with every human being, we have a darker side, which I had a lot of fun playing with and throughout the film, yeah.
I would say my character is very, very strong and independent because she has to be. She's put into a world where she doesn't know who to trust and who not to trust. And, you know, in most cases, there's nobody to look to. And I love that in a way, because my character is one of very few girls in the battle school and the only girl in the army that she's in. She's constantly working to sort of maintain the respect from the guys around her. And I think that when she meets Ender, there's this really truthful connection between the two of them that comes from sort of finding their way, finding their place.
I hate to cut you guys off, but we are actually running over to the panel, so we gotta go.